characters that pronounce what we are saying in Hebrew. So we'll be calling page numbers from that book as we get our service underway in just a moment on page 3.
This prayer, there I am, page 3, Hine Mato Umanayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, how wonderful it is to be here all together in this amazing, amazing moment. Hine Mato Umanayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, 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 Hine Mato, Hine Mato, Yalalai, 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 Hine Mato, Hine Mato, Yalalai, 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 Hine Mato Umanayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, Hine Mato Umanayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, everybody. I am so glad, we are so glad, the Fanarofs are so glad that all of you could be here to celebrate as Jackson becomes a bar mitzvah, a leader and an adult in our congregation. My name is Rabbi Max Miller. I am here with Cantor Lauren Adesnik, and we are so pleased that all of you are here, everyone in person, and all of the friends and family and Temple Emanu-El community joining us online. Thank you, thank you, thank you to our members who are supporting us and enabling this moment to take place. So, before we begin, a few moments of instruction to make sure that everyone is literally and figuratively on the same page. Before we began, I explained about the Sidurim. We'll be calling out page numbers throughout our service. Feel free to tap your feet, snap your fingers, clap your hands, hum, try and sing along if you like the melody. If you don't, you can maybe close your eyes and meditate. Everything is fair game as long as we are participating and as long as we are supporting Jackson in this amazing moment that he has prepared for months, if not years, to be able to stand before you, his community, his congregation, his family, his friends, in this amazing, amazing time. So, this is a great moment to turn off any cell phones, to make sure that all electronic devices are in silent or in the off mode. You don't want to have anything that could disrupt you from participating and enjoying this service. And also, you don't want to be that person during a silent moment of prayer where your phone beeps or the ESPN alert goes off or something happens because it's the Braves or the Georgia game. I lost track of time for today, and that it goes off during a silent moment of prayer. So make sure that that doesn't happen and turn off all our devices. If for some reason we need to exit the sanctuary in a fast way, there are exits over there where you entered into, behind Cantor Adesnik and myself, in the middle of the sanctuary, and in case of an emergency, behind the bima, behind Jackson and his family. Anything else I'm forgetting, Cantor? Masks and honors.
Thank you very much. Yes. I see many of you are already doing a fabulous job of this. During our service, everyone except for the Fanaroff family up on the bima must wear their masks over their nose and mouth for the entirety of their service. This is how we enable us to all have a safe praying environment, and we can allow the Fanaroffs to enjoy their space up there and not have them worrying about any germs that could be going around. So please keep your masks on over your nose and mouth. We will need to pause the service if we see those who are not following that instruction. If you are having an honor and you know who you are, then you can either come up to the bima, or if you have an English reading, then right there at the front of the bima, in front of the stage, you'll see a microphone. It's a very tiny little guy. It's very powerful. You don't need to move it. It will pick up anything. It could pick up a whisper. And so just step right up to the tape and you face forward. You can turn your head towards Jackson, towards the congregation, and read your honor portion there. I think that about covers it. Let's join together, Hine Matov, one more time on page 3.
הנה מה טוב
ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
So this is a great moment, everyone. Follow Rabbi Max. Clap your hands and generate all that upbeat Shabbat energy and send it all to Jackson. Here we go.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה, 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 הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה, 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 הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Page 5, it is my pleasure to invite up Jackson, your grandparents, Mark and Shannon Faneroff. If you would like to come up to the bima, Mark and Sharon, you are welcome to, or to stand down at the microphone as Jackson receives his bar mitzvah talit. And Carrie, if you could just make sure that they have a microphone in front of them as they read. We are on page 5.
Oh, now we're going to invite Sharon and Mark to offer the 3 paragraphs on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Oh, the English, sorry.
Oh, the English.
The English, yes. The Baruch Atah Adonai, that's all Jackson. He got that.
Praise be you, O Lord our God.
At the top of the page.
On
I'm
the
sorry.
top of the page. All right.
We get our glasses. Do you want your glasses? Thank you. I'm sorry.
As this talit is draped around your shoulders, will the generations speak to you. May you know that there are people, rich heritage to which you belong, sacred peace from which you are connected to all who are dwell on the earth. As you embracing the folds of this talit, so are you wrapped in the loving embrace of your family, community, this holy congregation.
May the simplest
The
of
garments always be there for you, a symbol of God's whole body. As you recite the blessing and wrap yourself in this talit, we proudly watch and celebrate with you. You accept your place, tradition.
All right, Jackson, now it's time for the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatev b'tzitzit.
Amen. And as Jackson wears for the first time as a bar mitzvah his talit, this symbol of Jewish adulthood, we join together in a prayer, Shehechianu, at the bottom of page 5, giving thanks to God for enabling all of us to reach this wonderful, wonderful occasion.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu hazman hazeh.
Amen.
Mark and Sharon, you can have a seat.
There you go, buddy.
Jackson, we turn to page 6 as you lead us in your bar mitzvah prayer.
God be with me on this occasion of my bar mitzvah. Help me make meaningful the covenant you now establish with me. Sustain me with a sense of holiness inspire in me a desire to be special. I do not ask that you make my life easy, resolve my problems, map out the directions of my life. I ask only that you strengthen within me the desire to mold and shape my life in accordance with your will. In this hour of my bar mitzvah, I invoke your blessings upon my parents and friends and all who have loved and cared for me and have brought me to this time of gladness. Give them joy and fulfillment in my growth and my achievement, you who turn the hearts of children to their parents and the hearts of parents to their children.
Amen. Okay, on page 10, Ashrei, this prayer, this psalm that comes from Tanakh that we enjoy. We sing it as a bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah in the evenings, but something that reflects the joy and the gladness that we feel whenever we come into this space. And Jackson, as you certainly are feeling that joy and that gladness from friends and family, but you're also sending it right back to all of us as you lead us in Ashrei on page 10.
Ashrei yoshvei veitecha, od yichalucha selah.
Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo, Ashrei ha'am sh'Adonai Eloham.
Tehillah leDavid, aramimcha l'chaycha melech, v'avarcha shimcha le'olam va'ed.
B'chol yom avarcheka, v'achalel shimcha le'olam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai umhulal me'od, v'ligdulato ein cheker.
Dor ledor yishabach ma'asecha, u'gvurotecha yagidu.
Hadar kevod hodecha, v'divrei nefeltecha asicha.
Ve'ezuz norotecha yomeru, u'gdulatecha asaprena.
Zecher rav tuvcha yabiyu, v'zidkacha yiranenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim ugdal chasem.
Tov Adonai lakol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav.
Yodu Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yivarchucha.
Kivod malchutcha yomeru, uvracha yidaberu.
Leodia libnei ha'adam gevurota, u'kvod hadar malchuto.
Malchutcha malchut kol olamim, umshmelcha bechor dor vador.
Somech Adonai lechol hanoflim, v'zokef lechol hakfufim.
Einecho elecha yisaberu, ve'ata noten lahem et ochlam b'ito.
Poteach et yadecha, u'masbia lechol chai ratzon.
Tzadik Adonai bechol derachav, v'chasi bechol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai lechol korav, lechol asher yikra'uhu ve'emet.
Ritzon yireyav ya'aseh, ve'et shavatam yishma v'yoshiem.
Shomer Adonai et kol havav, ve'et kol harshaim yashmid.
Tehillah Adonai yidaber pi, v'yivarech kol basar shem kadosho le'olam va'ed.
Va'anachnu nivarech Yah, me'ata ve'ad olam. Hallelujah.
Page 13, Jackson, we follow you as you lead us praying responsively, these words helping to welcome us into this space.
May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for fellowship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit indifference, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We rise for Baruch Hu, our opening prayer, page 15.
Yeah.
standing on the front inside cover, I believe it is, for Ma'ariv Aravim. Yes, the front inside cover, you will find our evening prayer, Ma'ariv Aravim. Jackson, as you lead us this prayer that we say every evening, but one that reminds us that evening and day roll together, and that we need to pause in moments like these liminal moments between being a kid and being an adult, to recognize and to bless this place that you are, that we are, so that we can appreciate all that was and look forward to all that will be. As we join with you, page in the inside front cover.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma poteach she'arim, uvivuna mishaneh itim, umechalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, emishmerotechem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech, mipnei or uma'avir yom, umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai Sivaot Shemo, El Chai v'kayom tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim.
On page 16, back inside of our Sidurim, our prayer books, we join with you as Jackson, as you lead us in Ahava Rabbah, the love that we express to one another, that we believe that comes from God. And this isn't just the love that we might say to our parents or to our family, but it's a love that actually specifically in Judaism comes from learning. And we believe as Jews that one of the most significant, one of the best ways that we can show our love to our family, to our friends, to ourselves, is by learning from them and learning so that we can teach others, as you have shown us that you both learn and teach. And we join together with you, page 16.
Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chemla Gidola Vitera Chamalta Aleinu, Ba'avur Avotenu Ve'imotenu, Shebachu V'cha Vatlamdem Chukei Chayim, Ken Tichonenu Utlamdenu, Hamrachem Rachem Aleinu, V'ten Belibenu Lechavin Uhaskil, Lishmoa, Liomod, Ulalamed, Lishmor, Vela'asot, Ulkayem, et kol divrei Talmud, Toratecha be'ahava. Baruch atah Adonai, habecher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
With words of Shema, we close our eyes, allowing ourselves to listen more intently to the voices surrounding us, to the words of God, the words of all of God's creations, as we join together in these words, calling God one, calling all of Israel one. Page 18.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Jackson, in a moment, you're going to lead us in the Via Hafta, and this perhaps is my favorite prayer for all B'nai Mitzvah, all those teens who are becoming adults, because in these days, in these months, in these years, as you become an adult, people are telling you to do a lot of different things. And you are getting constant reminders wherever you go. And that is honestly the Jewish way, is that we believe that no matter where we go, we should be reminded of who we are, what we stand for, those most important values. And that is why the Via Hafta tells us that when we are at home, when we're away, when we lie down, when we rise up, wherever we are, whenever we are, we ought to be our best selves. And so as you remind us of that on page 18, we join together with you.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך וקומך, וקשרתם לאו על ידיך, וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
The bottom of page 19, it's my pleasure to invite forward Philip and Jody Bramson to the microphone here at the bottom of the stage. Yep, exactly. As you lead us in this responsive English prayer. You were in the courage with which we overcame 40 years of desert wandering.
Even today, you are a hope that, like a beam of light, brightens the darkness of suffering and despair.
You are in the love that creates, protects, forgives.
Standing at the sea, we felt your goodness and your love, and we sang a new song to you. And still today, we sing that song.
We praise you, Adonai, Redeemer of Israel. We join together, thank you very much, in that song of freedom, Mi Chamocha, in the back inside cover of your Siddur.
So this is another one of those moments where you can clap along, send all that wonderful energy up to Jackson. Ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la la la.
Jackson, on page 21, our Amidah, this is a prayer about connection. Connection not only to God, but also the people who have stood in this space, in this place, the very place that you are, who have been there before you, who have helped make this place possible, but also who have raised you, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, stretching all the way back to Abraham and Sarah, all those people who have had the connection, a little spark in your development and in your growth. So as we rise as a congregation and join you in these words of Avot and Imahot in the Amidah, we recall that spark and that connection that's brought all of us to this moment.
Adonai sefatai tivtach ufi yagita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor V'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem, L'man Shmeo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Ako Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashif HaRuach, Morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Giverot, Umidom Elach, Melech Meimit Umechayeh, Umatmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah L'chachayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol.
It's my pleasure to invite up Paul and Sherry Fanaroff to the microphone right at the base of the bima. And you bring your siddur with you, bring your red prayer book with you, so you can lead us in the responsive English prayer at the bottom of page 23, right there from the microphone.
Many are the ways of holiness, varied are its paths.
There is holiness when we strive to be true to the best we know.
There is holiness when we are kind to others.
There is holiness when we strive for harmony in all of our relationships.
There is holiness when people of different backgrounds work together for a common future.
There is holiness when people seek justice and struggle for righteousness.
There is holiness when people create lasting poetry or song or philosophy.
There is holiness when we forget what divides us and remember what unites us.
Holy, holy, holy is Adonai our God.
Thank you very much. Page 24, we join together in Kedusha.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו, מדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם,
ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד לך.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד לך. נצח נצחים, קדושתך נקיש, קדושתך נקיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לא ימוש לעולם. may be seated. Page 25. Jackson, you lead us in the responsive English prayer.
From of old, the Jewish people have seen Shabbat as a unique gift, a token of his covenant with God.
Shabbat is the most cherished creation of the Jewish spirit. It mirrors the essence of the Jewish soul.
Shabbat has never been merely a day of rest from labor. It has also been a break in the routine of everyday life.
Liberation and triumph of the holy over the profane, the spirit over matter.
In every age, Shabbat afforded the Jew a sacred retreat, a haven of safety, a fountain of new strength and perpetual renewal.
Shabbat nurtures family life in love and harmony. A home at peace welcomes Shabbat with joy.
Shabbat is part of nature's design, the very purpose of creation. All that was created attained its fulfillment in Shabbat.
Shabbat is our hope, the calm haven where all the weary find rest. With the coming of Shabbat, redemption and peace enter the world. Our prayer for joy and our prayer for peace on Shabbat, page 26, Yismichu.
Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei honei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei honei Shabbat. V'kadoshem, v'kadoshem shvi Shabbat. U'am yismehu, v'yitanu tuvecha Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei honei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei honei Shabbat. Uvashvili ratzita bo v'kidasho Shabbat. Emad yomim, ocho karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei honei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei honei Shabbat. Zecher, 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 ma'aseh b'reshit Shabbat. Zecher ma'aseh b'reshit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei honei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei honei Shabbat.
It's my pleasure to invite up Carolyn Brewer and Jamie Brewer to the microphone as you lead us in our responsive reading on page 27 and 28.
Our world is full of wonders and miracles, but all it takes is one little hand placed before our eyes, and we see nothing.
But miracles are all around us and within us. We are each walking miracles.
When we are bruised, what miracle heals us? When we see beauty, what miracle elevates us? When we hear music, what miracle moves us?
When we see suffering, what miracle saddens us? When we give and receive love, what miracle warms us? When we pray, what miracle renews us?
Every springtime is a miracle. Every snowflake is a miracle. The thoughts we think, the words we speak, the hopes we cherish, each is a miracle.
For all these miracles, may your name be exalted and blessed forever and ever.
Thank you. Page 28.
Our God, we know there is no greater gift than peace. Help us to find the peace that comes from the love of your Torah.
Inspire us to banish hatred, war, bloodshed, and bigotry. Help us to establish forever one human family doing your will in love and peace.
Help us to find peace in ourselves and among all people. O God of peace,
You have given us the power, O God,
to bring peace and justice into the world. May we always love peace and pursue it, and love our fellow creatures. Fill us with kindness, wisdom, and love. Then shall we learn to live in peace. Blessed is God, teacher of peace.
Thank you both very much. We join together in a prayer for peace. Sim Shalom, page 28.
Sim,
Sim, Sim Shalom, Sim, Sim, Sim Shalom, Sim, Sim,
Sim
Shalom, Tova Uveracha,
Sim Shalom,
Sim, Sim, Sim Shalom, Sim, Sim, Sim Shalom, Sim, Sim, Sim Shalom, Tova Uveracha. Sim Shalom, Sim, Sim Shalom,
Sim Shalom, Tova Uveracha.
Page 29. Strange is our situation here on earth. Each of us has come for a short visit, not knowing why, yet sometimes seeming to divine a purpose. From the standpoint of daily life, however, there is one thing we do know, that we are here for the sake of humanity, for the countless unknown souls with whose fates we are connected by a bond of sympathy. Many times a day, I realize how my own outer and inner life is built on the labors of my fellow human beings, both living and dead, and how earnestly I must exert myself in order to give in return as much as I have received and am still receiving. We take a few moments for our own silent prayers and meditations, those words which we might find meaningful from the page of our Sidurim, or to close our eyes, to pray those words written in our hearts, in our minds, on our souls, in a personal conversation with God.
Page 30. Hihi Ratzoni Mrifi. May the words of my mouth and meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Hihi Ratzoni Mrifi, Mrifi, Ve'yolivi, Lefanecha, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Legali,
Jackson, as you prepare to read for us from the Torah, it's my pleasure to invite your parents to offer you this blessing on page 31 before you take these first steps into Jewish adulthood.
May you live to see your world fulfilled. May your destiny be for worlds still to come. And may you trust in generations past and yet to be. May your heart be filled with intuition and your words be filled with insight. May songs of praise ever be upon your tongue and your vision be on a straight path before you. May your eyes shine with the light of holy words and your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips ever speak wisdom and your fulfillment be in righteousness. A Jewish home opens its heart. and its link to the generations is proclaimed. Today, our child, nearly grown, is called to read from the Torah and is welcomed into the congregation. May this moment be blessed.
Amen. All right, so we in a moment are about to rise and begin our Torah service. Before we do that, I want to call up some folks to the bima so that they can help us with opening the ark. And to help us with those honors is Richard Schweidel and Francine Shailit. And we will also be inviting up Mark and Sharon Faneroff and Carolyn Brewer to the bima, to the stage, to join Jackson and his parents up on the stage. We rise for our Torah service, page 32.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, b'kedushato.
All right, Jason, so you're going to go up to the ark. If you would mind, please opening the ark doors. And Jason, take out the Torah, the middle Torah, right, Cantor?
Yep.
The middle Torah. And if I could have the grandparents line up diagonal from the bima, so right from the Torahs are being held. Yeah, right next to Richard. Yeah, right in front of Richard. And Jackson, you're going to stand right next to your dad, and Carrie, joining them up there as well. Right in between your dad and your grandparents. Other side, Jackson. No, the other side of your dad. Right in between your mom. There you go. That's where we want you. All right, so Jackson, in a moment you are about to physically receive the Torah, but something that you've been in the process of doing for many years now. You've been learning, whether you've known it or not, whether you've been doing it intentionally or not, preparing for this moment. And your family, the ones around you right now, the closest to you, and those whose memories we call to mind in these amazing moments, everyone is looking at you with so much love, so much respect, and everyone is so proud of you for all that you have accomplished and all that you will accomplish. And so, in a moment, Jason, you're going to offer the Torah to each of the grandparents, and then to Carrie, and then you will pass it to your son, Jackson. So you can begin the chain of passing. And now, Jackson, as you take over the Torah, make sure you got a good grip, it's heavy. We join together in words found on page 33, words of Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai Iti, Unarom Shema Yachdav. As we continue singing, I invite the family to begin to process around with the Torah.
If you would like to. Now would be the time to begin the procession of the Torah.
Lecha Adonai hagedula, hagevura, v'hatiferet, v'hanesach, v'hahod. Ki chol v'shamayim u'va'aretz, ki chol v'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamelacha, v'hamid na'aseh lechol rosh. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu
Shalom. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu.
Sing after us,
Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu.
Yai,
Nai nai, yai nai nai, yai nai nai, nai nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai nai, yai nai nai, yai nai nai, nai nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai.
You can all undress the Torah.
Yep. You can put the Torah down on the table. Yep.
You can rest it on the podium. And you can rest it on that second one, Jackson. You don't even have to move your stuff.
Yep, put it over there on the
can go
left.
right to the left.
It's right to the left. Get it.
Beautiful.
And Jason, if you would close the ark, please. And I invite everyone else to be seated, please.
And Jackson, you can unbuckle that Torah. And you can make sure that microphone's pointing to you and that you see your spot.
In just a moment, Jackson is going to be chanting for us from the Torah. And for those who this is their first bar mitzvah ceremony, you might be saying, well, I have no clue what's going on, and that's okay. So what Jackson is about to do is something quite incredible. So the Torah, the Jewish holy book, is without any vowels, and to arrive at this moment, Jackson learned many verses of Torah in Hebrew that he is going to chant for us, and he's not going to do it with any kind of assistance that he's used in preparation for this. And if you want to follow along and read the story that he is reading from the Torah, you will find underneath your chairs, there are more books. This is the really, really heavy one. On the cover, it says the Torah. If you're picking up another book and it says Mishkan Tefillah, there's lots of little flames on it, that's heavy, but not the heaviest book. And to follow along with our reading, it's on page 91 of the Torah. We are in Parashat Lech Lecha. And in just a moment, you will hear Jackson chanting these words for us.
So for the honor of our first Aliyah, we call to the Bima, back up to the Bima again, Mark and Sharon Fenroff. And you can find the blessings on page 34.
In your red Siddur.
Ya'adu Michael, Surah Risha, La'aliyah LaTorah.
Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher barakabanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Adonai El Avram, Lech lecha me'artzecha u'mimoladetecha u'miveit avicha el ha'aretz asher arecha ve'esecha legoy gadol v'avarecha v'agidila shemecha v'hiei biracha v'avarecha mevarechecha u'mikalelecha aor v'nivrechu v'cha kol mishpechot ha'adama.
Yasher Koach. All right. Grandparents will make the blessing after the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam natan b'tolcheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Hugs and kisses. As grandparents, you may be seated. And for our second Aliyah, we invite to our bima Joshua Faneroff and Rebecca Duffy. Ya'amu Gershon Hanan la'aliyah la'Torah.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bacha banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayelech Avram, ka'asher diver elav Adonai, vayelech itolot ve'Avram, ben chamesh shanim v'shivim shana, b'tzeto mecharan. Vayikach Avram, et Sarai ishto, ve'et Lot ben achiv, ve'et kol rechusham asher rachasu, ve'et chanefesh asher asu v'charan. Vayetzeu lalechet arza Kenan, vaya'avu arza Kenan, vaya'avor Avram ba'aretz ad mekom Shechem ad Elohim Moreh, v'haKenaani az ba'aretz.
Yasher Koach. Blessing after the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam natan b'tolcheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Hugs and kisses. And you may be seated, and it is my pleasure to call very proud Mom and Dad to our bima for their third Aliyah. Ya'adu Baruch ben Mikhael v'Sora Risha la'aliyah la'Torah.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And Carrie, you're going to offer the blessing in English?
Praise Praised are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, rock of all ages, righteous in generations, steadfast God, whose word is deed, whose decree is fulfillment, whose every teaching is truth and righteousness.
Amen. Vayera Adonai el Avram, Vayomer lezaracha etein et haaretz hazot, Vayiven sham mizbeach la Adonai hanireh elav, Vayatek misham hahara mikedem leve'el vayet aholo Be'el miyam v'cha'a mikedem vayiven sham mizbeach la Adonai vayikra b'shem Adonai vayisa Avram haloch v'nasoah ha'negba.
Asher Koach and Mom and Dad, whenever you're ready.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
We thank you and praise you, Adonai, our God, for the Torah, for worship, for the prophets, and for this Shabbat day, which you have given us for holiness and rest, for dignity and splendor. For everything we thank you and praise you. May your name be praised continually by every living creature. Praised are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat.
Asher Koach, hugs and kisses to Mom and Dad. Beautiful. And then Jackson, Mom and Dad are going to make sure your yacht stays right where you left it. Mom and Dad, you're not going to go anywhere. And Jackson, you are going to go have a seat somewhere where I can see you. Yep, and where you can see me. Here we go. Beautiful. Okay, so you're going to look over here. So, what is about to happen is truly an awesome moment. And I say that word awesome because, yes, it's super cool, and yes, it's amazingly special. So, in a moment when I call you forward with your Hebrew name, you, Jackson, are literally going to la'aliyah. You are going to ascend into becoming a bar mitzvah. And so you are physically demonstrating by sitting down and then standing up and walking up to the Torah that elevation, that ascension. But really what you're doing goes so far beyond that. As you walk up into becoming a bar mitzvah, a wonderful young man, an adult, an active Jewish participant in our community, you are elevating yourself spiritually, Jewishly, connecting to your heritage, your peoplehood, your family, to God. And I also say that as you are elevating yourself in that way, you are also deepening your connection as well. And you are not only doing that yourself, by you becoming a bar mitzvah today, you elevate all of us. And you elevate everybody who is watching from the screens, everybody all over the world. So it is my pleasure now to call you up to the bima as an official bar mitzvah. Yad HaBachor HaBar Mitzvah, Chaim Yafia Ben Baruch La'aliyah Torah. And you're going to make the blessing.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayehi ra'av ba'aretz, vayered Avram Mitzrayma, lagur sham ki chaved hara'av ba'aretz. Vayehi ka'asher hikriv lavo Mitzrayma, vayomer el Sarai ishto, Hinena yadati ki isha yefa mar'at v'chaya ki yir'u otach hamitzrim ve'emeru ishtazot v'hargu oti ve'otach yechayu.
Yasher Koach, you make the blessing after the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
All right, Jackson. So you're going to put the yod down. Yep. And you can roll up the Torah. We're not going to put it away just yet. Just roll it up together. There we go. All right. And what I want you to do, Jackson, is to face me with mom and dad by your side, right where you are. Yep. That's perfect. So in these moments, we're never short of blessings. And so I have an additional blessing to offer to you as you become bar mitzvah for your spiritual growth and development. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah hu yivarech et Chaim Yachiel ben Baruch shehigia lemitzvot ve'ala laTorah HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishmarehu v'yechayehu v'yechonen et libo lihiyot shalem im Adonai Elohav lahagot b'torato lalechet bidrachav v'lishmor mitzvotav v'yitzamchen b'sechel tov be'enei Elohim ve'adam v'nomar Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, Jackson, who has come for an aliyah upon the age of mitzvot. May the Holy One guard you and sustain you, helping you to be wholehearted in your faith, studying God's Torah, walking in God's ways, and fulfilling God's mitzvot. May you find favor before God and before all people, and together we say, all right, so now is the time for us to raise and dress the Torah. So I'm going to ask everyone to please rise, and we are on page 36 if you would like to sing along. Yep, exactly. Jason, you're up.
Vezot haTorah
Asher zam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Yanai nai nai nai, yanai nai nai nai, yanai nai 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 nai, yanai nai nai, yanai nai 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 nai, yanai nai 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 nai. So you can go ahead and put the Torah back on the desk. We'll put the Torah back in the ark in just a moment, and I'll invite everyone else to be seated. You can have a seat now. And Jackson, you're going to take out your Devar Torah. Make sure you have that ready. And so one of the things, well, there's really three parts to becoming a bar mitzvah. One is that you are a leader. You've been leading us in services, one of the obligations of Jews everywhere when they turn 13, but especially that you can stand not only as a leader of prayer, but in front of all of these people who love you, who are supporting you, and lead us in these holy words. And now, you've just chanted for us from our Torah. You've told us the story of our people, and one of your jobs as a bar mitzvah now is to maintain those stories, to tell them to all who want to learn, to tell them to your children so that they tell them to their children, and that we can always, what you're about to do next, find meaning in them. The last thing that you do as a bar mitzvah is that you are our teacher. And you have been studying for all of these many months and years, and you've been especially studying with Rabbi Rachel for your Devar Torah to find out what these words mean to you and what they can mean to us, your community. So now, it's our pleasure to learn from you as our teacher.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
My Torah portion is Lech Lecha from the book of Genesis. My portion begins with God asking Abram to leave his home and travel to the land of Canaan. Canaan will be Abram and his descendants' land. Because of a famine, Abram takes his nephew and his wife Sarai to Egypt. Abram knows how beautiful Sarai is, so he says that they are siblings rather than husband and wife. He does this so the Egyptians will spare him and Sarai. The Pharaoh eventually takes Sarai to live in his home. All the princes give Abram gifts in order to get Sarai to be their wife. Plagues come upon the Pharaoh for taking Sarai, and she is given back to Abram. Abram and Sarai head back to Canaan with all of the gifts and possessions they received in Egypt. Abram and his nephew Lot divide the land of Canaan between them. The nearby cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were very evil cities, and nearby kingdoms went to war against Sodom and Gomorrah, so the two kingdoms went around and captured city after city. On Lot's side of the land, he and his people are attacked and taken hostage by the two kingdoms. Abram hears of this, so he and his people travel over to Lot's side of the land and rescue Lot and his people. Years later, Sarai invites Hagar, her servant, to have a child with Abram. She invites her because Sarai is unable to have a child herself. When Hagar becomes pregnant, Sarai becomes jealous of her, and she begins to abuse her. Hagar leaves pregnant into the middle of the desert. Hagar is summoned back to Abram and Sarai by an angel. The child is born and is named Ishmael. God decides to change Abram and Sarai's names to Abraham and Sarah. Abraham means father of a multitude. This shows how Abraham will now be a father to another child. It also shows how the Jewish people will all come from Abraham. Sarah translates to the princess. God tells the newly named Abraham to circumcise himself and his son Ishmael at 8 days after his birth. Through this act, they both entered a covenant with God. The main lesson I learned from my Torah portion is that just because someone treats you badly, it doesn't mean you have to treat them that way as well. A good example of this is when Abraham gives Lot the choice between which side of the land he would like. Lot chooses the better side with more fertile land. He does this without giving any of the fertile part to Abraham. This decision leaves Abraham with only dry desert as his side of the land. Later in the Torah portion, Lot and his people are captured by the two kingdoms of Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham hears of this, and even though Lot made Abraham mad, Abraham still decides to travel to Lot's land and save him and his people. For this act, Abraham receives no reward. He did it because it was the right thing to do. One way that this lesson can be applied to our world today is in the form of nonprofit organizations. Nonprofit organizations receive no surplus or reward for helping people. One example of a nonprofit is the Blue Dove Foundation, located here in Atlanta. The Blue Dove Foundation helps individuals with mental addictions and illnesses. Even though someone has made bad choices in the past or is having trouble in the world, they still deserve the help that they need. The Blue Dove Foundation provides education, financial assistance, and creates programs in order to help people. They raise money to pay for these essential things, but they do not receive a profit. This is an exact representation of what Abraham did for Lot thousands of years ago, because Abraham helped others in need, knowing he would receive no reward. Becoming a bar mitzvah to me means that I am now an adult in the Jewish community. To me, this means I now have the responsibility to do things I did not do as a Jewish kid, like to help teach others about Judaism. As of this moment, I am now an adult in the Jewish community. I know that there is still so much more to learn about what it means to be Jewish, and continuing my education at Hebrew school and at home will always be important to me. What I enjoy most about being Jewish is that it is a tradition-based religion. Whether it is celebrating Shabbat on Friday night, lighting the menorah on Hanukkah, or having a bar mitzvah when you come of age, the traditions are what make the religion so special to me. Being able to pass these traditions down to future generations is now part of my responsibility, as I am now an adult in the Jewish community. The main Jewish value that is important to me is studying Torah. I didn't think of this value that much until I started studying for my bar mitzvah. Now it is extremely important to me because I've studied my portion and I'm able to get a deeper connection with it. I've demonstrated this value by studying my Torah the best I possibly could in order to get to this occasion. My relationship with the state of Israel is a feeling of connection. Israel is very important to me because Israel is a place for the Jewish people. In the future, I will someday go to Israel, and I think it will feel like it is my home. My mitzvah project is that I'm going to collect donations for sports equipment to give to the Boys and Girls Club of Atlanta. This relates to my Torah portion because Abraham collects an army and resources to help someone. Although it may be less dangerous, in a way I'm doing the same thing for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Atlanta. I would like to thank my tutor Joanne and Cantor Desnick for helping me prepare for today. I would also like to thank Rabbi Rachel for helping me with my Devar Torah. Next, I would like to thank Grandma and Grandpa for calling me and Dad every day you can and traveling all the way from New Jersey to be with me here today. I love you both so much. Also, I would like to thank Nan and Papa T for always loving me so much and coming to celebrate this occasion with me. I love you so much. Next, I would like to thank my mom for always comforting me when I'm upset and always loving me the most that she can. Mom, I love you so much, and you're the best mom ever. Next, I would like to thank my dad for always supporting me and helping me with anything I have trouble with. I love you so much, and you're the best dad. Thank you both for putting this whole celebration together. Lastly, I would like to thank everyone that has come to celebrate this occasion with me. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. All right, so as we continue in the service with your wisdom, Jackson, that you've offered us, we're going to rise once more as we return the Torah to the Ark on page 39, and I'd like to invite up Phyllis Hart and Elliot Sarno to open the Ark for us. Please be seated. Elliot and Phyllis, thank you very much. So Jackson, before we go on with our service, we're going to take a moment to just talk with you, Cantor and me and you, or it's just the three of us up here. So getting to know you all these years that you've been at Temple Emanu-El has really been a blessing. And when I think about you and every Sunday seeing you and just knowing how you interact with your friends as just such an honest, such a caring person, there are a few people I know at 13 who show as much compassion and concern for others around them as you do. And you do that while also being a leader, not someone who just tends to the people around them, but also helping bring them up. And that is truly what it takes to be a good Jew and a good human being in this world. And I know that it might be tough to ask for some help sometimes, that you have an independent streak to you, but remember that we have communities around us for a reason. That as you look around, all these people here, all these smiling faces behind their masks, these smiling eyes, all of these people here are here to support you. When you need help celebrating, when you need help because you are facing challenges, that's what this community is here for. And because you show that love in return, they'll always be there for you. So I know that you will always feel that love with you wherever you go.
Jackson, I'm so excited for you and so proud of you. You've just done such an exceptional job, not only today, but as you have moved through this entire preparation process. And I'm a little sad because that means you're not going to be in my Sunday school class anymore. And you just brought, so much life into our class with your thinking and your personality. And what I love is that you both know how to have that fun, that upbeat side, and then you also know how to be serious and take your Judaism and your Hebrew studies seriously. And you really demonstrated that not only in our class, but every time I saw you on Zoom, and I saw you and your dad, and the smiles from both of you really brightened my day. And so my wish for you, Jackson, my blessing for you, is that you keep moving through life with both of those energies, that you let your personality shine, and that those things that you hold dear to you, that you continue to take seriously and pursue. And I know with all of that, you will go very far. Mazel tov.
And with these traditions, we offer you that holiest of blessings in Judaism, the priestly benediction.
Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May you always find compassion and kindness in God's presence.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God always look upon you with favor, granting you God's most precious gift of all, the gift of shalom, the gift of peace. And we say together, Amen. All right, so now is our time for Carrie and Jason to offer their blessing to you now that you are bar mitzvah.
Is this working? First of all, thank you everybody for coming today. It means a lot to us that you're all here to help celebrate this special occasion. All right, got to get through this. Jackson, let me start by saying how proud your mom and I are of you today. Today is the first of what we know will be many major accomplishments in your life. Getting to this point was not easy, and it took a great deal of hard work and determination on your part. You always rise to the occasion, and this time was no exception. As you embark on this next phase of life's journey, both as a teenager and as an adult in the Jewish community, please do not lose sight of what is important. Continue to work hard, show compassion and empathy, be a good friend, do what you know is right even if it is not the popular thing to do, enjoy life, and most importantly, remember to stay true to who you are. These words relate directly to your Torah portion and how Abraham did what was right even when Lot had wronged him. Abraham helped Lot and his people when they needed it most. The reward was knowing that someone who was in need of help received it. You have shown this characteristic many times in your young life, whether it was making cards and hand-delivering them to the elderly at a nursing home, befriending a new student at school who did not know anyone, or collecting donations so that you can purchase sports equipment for those who are in need. I could not be any prouder of the young man you are becoming. Congratulations on becoming a bar mitzvah. I love you.
Jackson, I don't know that I can adequately express how proud your dad and I are of you, or just how much I love you. As we gather today with family and friends to celebrate you becoming a young man, we are so proud of everything you've done in preparation for today. But I'm not at all surprised. You were an amazing little boy, and you have grown into an amazing young man. Whether you are playing sports, writing a story, drawing one of your sketches, doing magic tricks, performing in the school play, or doing your schoolwork, you're always committed to doing your best and giving 100% of yourself to whatever the task at hand may be. Not only have you shown determination and commitment, but in your first 13 years of life, you have been resilient when faced with adversity and made the most of difficult situations. And you always look for the good and somehow seem to find it. Your kind heart and sweet spirit are one of a kind. You're compassionate, caring, and wise beyond your years. Your dad and I wish we could take all the credit for the amazing man that you are, but we can't. I remember one day when you were just 4 years old, we were on our way to preschool, and you asked me about prayer and if God ever spoke back. I told you that I thought that he did, but maybe not in the way we expect. You asked me what God's voice sounded like, and I told you he sounds like you, that to you, his voice sounds like your own. I thought I was going to have to further explain it, thinking I'd probably confused you, but no. You asked me if that voice inside you that tells you to do the right thing when you're on the playground was God's voice, and I knew then that you understood. We talked about our conscience and the importance of always listening to that voice inside us, especially when you were faced with having to be nice to someone who maybe wasn't all that nice to you on the playground. Or when we just weren't sure what to do, that if we stay true to who we are, we can hear that voice above all the other noise and still do the right thing. That voice is all you. It's a voice that is kind, it's funny, it always reminds you to do the right thing and to make good choices even when it feels like a really hard thing to do. It's all you. And I know that if you continue to listen to that voice, you will continue to do great things and the sky will be the limit for you. My hope for you, Jackson, is that you will not only use that voice to keep yourself on the path to your dreams, but that you will use that voice to speak up for those who cannot, that you will use your voice for good and to help those in need and show compassion for your neighbor. Knowing there are young people like you in this world who have caring voices, that know when to be soft and when it's necessary to be loud. People like you who will one day be the leaders, the teachers, the community helpers, the decision makers, difference makers of tomorrow fills me with hope for this future. Congratulations on becoming a bar mitzvah. I love you.
All right. So as we begin to conclude our service with these words of blessing and love, we turn to page 40 for Emanu-El. And I'm going to ask for you, Jackson, and your family to go up to the ark and to open the ark doors as we rise as a congregation, page 40. You can go ahead and open them.
Aleinu l'shaveach la'adon hakol, la'teit gidula le'otzer b'reshit, shelo asanu ki goyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu ki mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol ha'monam, va'anachnu korim, u'mishachavim u'modim, u'lifnei melech, molchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol haaretz, v'yom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo
Close the ark doors. Jason, Jackson, and Carrie, you can return back to the reading desks. And everyone else can be seated. It's tradition that we conclude our services with something sweet, but in between these prayers, as we end, we do so in memory. We remember those loved ones who we wish could be here, who we know their spirit, their soul is smiling down, Jackson, on you, on your family, and they are so proud of you. And we know that your family is thinking of Arlene Shore and Milton Shore, and Ida Faneroff, Ralph Faneroff, Robert Shore, and Stephanie Bramson. Those loved ones who mean so much to you and to your family, and we only wish and we can imagine what they would be like if they could be here to join in with this joy with you today. And in our congregation, if there are those who are in these first periods of mourning, I invite you to please rise if you're in the first 30 days mourning the loss of a loved one, or in the first year mourning the loss of a loved one. If you are commemorating a yahrzeit, the death anniversary of a loved one who's died around this Shabbat, I invite you to please rise and remain standing at this time. And if it is your custom to rise, as it is here at Temple Emanu-El, for those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, for the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, the Holocaust, we do so now at this time. Page 41, Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah nivarach le'olam u'almei almayan, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudusha berichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Oseh shalom b'roma, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen.
All right, as we conclude our service, we do so with our ceremony at the end of Shabbat, Havdalah. And Carrie, if you would, there's a desk right to the side of the, reading desk right there with all of the tools that we need for Havdalah. So just pick that up, the whole plate, I think that's what it's on. And you or Jackson or Jason, feel free to light the candle, and then everyone else take the spice box or the cup of grape juice to hold. As we join together in words of Havdalah. Jason and Jackson together put out the flame in the grape juice or wine.
Abdi ben kodesh lecho chashetenu yimcho. Zar inu v'chasperu yorbek chachol v'chakochavim b'layla. Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu
Yisrael. Ye'elanu, Ye'elanu, U'le'ol Yisrael. Mazel tov, Jackson. All right. If you are a person who brought a jersey with them, you know where those changes, those costume changes are taking place. So I will invite you to please orderly go up and exit to the sanctuary the same way you came in. And invite everyone else to please congratulate Jackson. Mazel tov to everybody.